That's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed.
That was former President Donald Trump on Wednesday evening being interviewed by Tucker Carlson on Twitter.
Can you imagine you're in an apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And why should anybody, human beings, these are human, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are, it's got to be stopped. And it can't be stopped very easily. It would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started.
Among the other questions that Carlson raised during the 45-minute interview, this one dealt with a familiar topic in the current news cycle.
If the protest didn't work, you got elected anyway. Yeah. Impeachment didn't work twice, obviously. Indictment is not working. Your poll numbers go up. When they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of last year, your numbers went up. They can indict you 20 times, and you're not going to lose the Republican primary because of that.
Well, so, it makes it look even more ridiculous. I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next after, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life? That's not working. So, don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of our country don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it. They really get it. When somebody gets indicted, your poll numbers go down. When somebody gets indicted, you announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be leaving to spend time with my family and to fight for the rest of my life on this stuff. But you're out of politics. I got indicted 4 times. All trivia, nonsense, bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Well, for more on that, we go to Philadelphia to speak with Professor Tony Monteiro of the Philadelphia Saturday Free School. We spoke with him via Skype on Thursday. Well, Tony, you saw this interview last evening. Give us your thoughts.
Over 200 million people watched it.
And counting.
I think that is a story in and of itself.
It's like 5 times as many people so far saw that as saw the entire gaggle of Republican candidates, quote unquote, in that so-called debate. And that has been a flat number. And the Trump Tucker Carlson thing has been climbing all day. People are still tuning in.
Yeah, and this kind of manifests what we talk about all the time, a crisis of legitimacy. Mm-hmm. When the mainstream media, or we should say the mainstream instrument of propaganda, are no longer viewed as a source of credible information by the people. The mainstream media is part of this deep crisis that we're talking about. And of course, Trump and Tucker Carlson are sophisticated enough to understand that there are possible avenues outside of the mainstream media, albeit social media, Twitter, and YouTube and other avenues like that, which are also controlled, but not in the same way that, let us say, MSNBC, Fox, or CNN are the main propaganda instruments of the ruling elite. But that having been said, the substance of the interview was very, very important. Firstly, they and Trump agreed and spoke at length about this, the struggle for peace and the struggle to end the war in the Ukraine, and how, in fact, the world is closer to nuclear war than we've ever been. And Trump placed the blame squarely in the lap of the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that Trump and Tucker established that all of these indictments and the previous investigations and impeachments are creating a constitutional crisis in the United States, where the so-called liberals are now openly saying that under the 14th Amendment, Trump should not be allowed to run for president. Others, writing, for example, on the op-ed page of the New York Times, are saying that we might have to do away with elections. Elections might not be the best way to choose presidents.
They're saying that you might have to do away with elections to protect democracy. That was what this actual statement in that piece was. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And a week earlier, there was an essay article on the op-ed page which said that we might have to limit free speech in order to save free speech. Now, these are the alleged liberals. So in the interview, each of these was engaged. And then the third thing is Trump said why he did not attend the Republican Party debate. And having looked at that, he made a wise decision. It would not have made sense for him to show up, given the enormity of his lead over the PAC in the Republican nomination process. But after all is said and done, I think what I took away from that interview is that Biden must be defeated in 2024. It is an absolute imperative that he be defeated in the name of the rule of law and world peace. The defeat of Biden and what he represents will not only benefit Trump, but because it will open the door to a political realignment, it creates space for the reconstitution of a genuine left, a new left, a progressive, anti-war, pro-democracy left. So take like people in the Bernie Sanders movement who have absolutely sold out. I mean, Bernie and AOC and the rest of them have absolutely sold out. The defeat of Biden will benefit them more than a victory for Biden. So I'm thinking, listening to the discussion, that in fact, we must do all we can in next year to ensure that Biden is defeated. Now, the other question is, and this was raised in the interview, does he have the mental and physical strength to even run or campaign for re-election? In which instance, it raises the question, who will then be the Democratic Party nominee? And this is a real and very live question at this point. Some people, and they mentioned, Trump mentioned Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, but he would be very, very weak, period. He's not known outside of California. People would see Biden's not running as representative of a deep crisis, which would then create a problem for the Democrats in mobilizing their base. The other thing is that even if Trump runs, is able to make it, that the Democratic Party is bleeding Black, Latino, and young voters at a rate which suggests that if Biden loses, and if the trend towards these very important constituencies of the Democratic Party continue to leave it, the question is, will and can the Democratic Party go forward after 2024 as one of the two main political parties? And if you ask me to give an answer, I would say no. I think what Trump is doing in calling what his political campaign a movement rather than only a Republican Party affair suggests that if something similar happens with disenchanted Democrats who could congeal around Robert F. Kennedy, maybe Robert F. Kennedy and Cornel West, would this lead to a political movement on, and I put quotes here, on the left, which would go parallel to the political movement of Trump on the, and I put quotes here, on the right? We are looking at a new moment in American political history where the possibilities of a new democracy, a people's democracy, could arise.
Thank you so much, Tony. Appreciate your time, and I'll speak with you again very soon.
Thank you, Don.
For KPFK, I'm Don DeBar.